All right. You got the hate radiating from the TV screen. It's amazing. It's not just the news. It's every late night comedy show. They've thrown comedy away. It's just all propaganda. So let's start with the news, because the one thing that actually came out yesterday was Bret Baier was interviewing the Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, and asked him, Trump came down pretty hard on Obama's Iran deal during his UN speech. And he asked Tillerson, is this thing going to be off the table? And this is a complicated question, because Obama set this deal up so that we gave them all the stuff first, and now we're just waiting for them to comply. And secondly, they can comply with the letter of the law. They can comply with the letter of the deal and still prepare to have nuclear weapons in 14 years when the deal sunsets. Then the deal is over, and all this time they've been getting all the ancillary stuff they need. So it's really, Obama really set this up badly, and I don't know why. I don't know what he was thinking and why he thought it was such a great idea to deal with some of the worst actors in the country. Here is Tillerson reacting on how the Trump administration feels about this deal that is cut too.
The Iranian threat to the region is much broader than defined as simply by the nuclear talks. Our relationship with Iran from a security standpoint and a threat standpoint is much broader than that, as is the entire region. And we've really got to begin to deal with Iran's destabilizing activities in Yemen and Syria. And the President highlighted that today, that under the agreement, the spirit of the agreement, if you want to use that word, but even the words of the preamble of the agreement, there was clearly an expectation, I think, on the part of all of the parties to that agreement, that by signing this nuclear agreement, Iran would begin to move to a place where it wanted to reintegrate itself with its neighbors. And that clearly did not happen. In fact, Iran has stepped up its destabilizing activities in the region, and we have to deal with that. And so whether we deal with it through a renegotiation on nuclear or we deal with it in other ways.
So, it's pretty harsh talk. They really are dealing with this. And so before we go back to the reaction to Trump's speech, and it was a hard-nosed, real politics speech, before we go back, let's just go back once more to Obama's speech. Here's a little montage of Obama's last speech to the UN. I'm not going to play the whole thing. The video is called 11 Times Obama Talked Down the U.S. in his final UN speech. But listen to this dithering tone that he takes when he's talking about our country to the world.
Yes, in America, there is too much money in politics, too much entrenched partisanship, too little participation by citizens, in part because of a patchwork of laws that makes it harder to vote. That while we've made our share of mistakes over these last 25 years, and I've acknowledged some, we have strived, sometimes at great sacrifice, to align better our actions with our ideals. And we can only realize the promise of this institution's founding, to replace the ravages of war with cooperation, if powerful nations, like my own, accept constraints.
What a dunderhead this guy was. I'm so glad he's gone. His problem was that he looked at the world as if we were in a relationship, like you apologize to your wife and then she forgives you and you move on because you're in this relationship. These guys are competitors and enemies. A lot of these guys are competitors and enemies, and every inch you give, they come in and move in to take the next inch, kind of like the left in general.